Welcome, everybody, to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting-edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. And we are doing it again tonight. We really are. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for tonight. And I'll tell you why in a little while. But before Augie tells us about our beautiful guest, I just want to thank you, as always, for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for your super chats. Please nudge your friend, your husband, your coworker, and ask them to come join us, to come subscribe. We're right on the threshold of 10,000 subscribers, and we just would love to push it over the line. I'd like to invite you to join us for the Mastermind Sunday. We get together with a bunch of quantum thinking people and we mastermind, we imagine, we envision the beauty and the majesty and the new world and heaven on earth. And together in the quantum realm, we meet. And before you know it, those things actually begin taking shape in the physical. We've had people that have had loved ones who had physical healings, animals that were lost that were found before the session was over, fires that were perilously close to a person's house that mysteriously went out before it got to her house, and amazing things like that. If this sounds good to you, if it gives you a little butterfly in your gut, please send an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. Augie will send you the link. Come hang out with us 2 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. See if you like it. If you like it, we have a lively chat or we watch some videos at 3 p.m. And it's just so good, guys. So without any further ado from me, Augie, please tell us about our guest.
Oh, yes, I sure will. This is going to be fun and quite an education because you're going to see some devices, some future science that will blow your mind because this stuff is working. And we have Katharina Spurling-Kaffl, a couple with us. And my German is pretty rusty here, Katrina, so you have to forgive me.
No worries.
First of all, there are people here listening and watching that like to surf the internet while they're listening to the show. So I'll give you her website. You can go there and look at the pictures of these devices and scratch your head because it's kind of difficult to understand right away. But after the show, you will understand fully how valuable these are. And the website is lightlifetechnology.com. Lightlifetechnology.com. And Katharina is highly educated from the University of Hard Knocks, but also highly educated by the public institutions of higher learning. And she now is traveling the world, putting on seminars and workshops in Europe and South America and the United States, talking about this and showing them how people can make these devices. And I saw something in her bio that I just can't help it. I gotta say something about it. And she has been practicing the art of living for 46 years. Isn't that what we all are trying to do? And that was before she met Slim, who became her husband. And he introduced her to a different form of science, a science of the future, one who has not been accepted by mainstream yet. Of course, because there's no real money in it. But it involves the mind. And mainstream science does not recognize the mind. So they don't believe in it, so they can't talk about it. But here we are going to talk about it. So welcome to the show, Katharina.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be with you too. I love what you're doing, and I'm so excited to be sharing the Light Life technology with you and your listeners.
This is so exciting, Katharina. And I really have to know how did this begin? How did this beautiful idea even get birth? How did that happen?
Well, that's a really good question. And this is what happened by accident, you could say. Slim was with a group of friends, and they were just talking about a gentleman who came and said, with a piece of wire, you can heat or cool a building. And Slim said, what else can I do with a piece of wire? And so he put the ends together, and there was a clairvoyant in the group, and she jumped up, and so Slim said, what are you seeing? What's going on? And so she saw a column of light coming out at the surface of when he put the wires together.
Wow.
So Slim has been studying Reich, Wilhelm Reich and Tesla and a New Zealand guy, Louis Quebron. And so he took the 20.6 inches measurement, the sacred cubit, and made some rings. But that were made out of a single piece of wire. And so he gave some to his friends, and one friend had a unfortunate experience. He put the wrong side, like when you take a normal piece of wire, or if you have a wedding ring or a normal ring, then you take a pendulum, and one side goes to the left and the other to the right. And that's what happened with this ring. And so this friend put it on his heart with the wrong side, the left spin. He fell off the chair, and Slim said, uh-oh. He was smart enough to turn it over, and then his heart started pumping again. So Slim took the few rings that he had out, and he was extraordinary. He was a blacksmith, self-taught blacksmith, and so he went back on his workbench, and so he came up with this amazing idea of twisting the wire by having it go back on itself, twist it to the right, solder it together, and now this is what we are having. Our light left tensor rings are all twisted, are all safe. They have a beam on both sides coming out. So that was how the first rings came about.
Wow.
And so, Slim actually told me the first time we met on a walk, he said, you know what, I really had the feeling we could create peace on earth with those tools. And at the time when I met him, and I tell you a little more because this sounds a little outrageous for some. It's like, what? He wants to create peace on earth. And for me, peace doesn't mean no war. Peace, the opposite of peace is no peace. And the opposite of war is no war in my universe. But anyway, so this is what happened. And so that was the first ring. And then he started experimenting, making a few more. But what his concern really was finding a solution for the devastating air pollution in Denver in the 90s. And friends of mine who lived there, they said, yeah, it was really bad. And then all of a sudden it was gone. And they thought, something else happened, not what the government told us what happened. And so Slim created then the harmonizer. And this is a small version, and this is a larger one. And this is the harmonizer is basically made out of 3 rings. And inside is an aqua coil, and that is pulling in all the dirt and transforming it, creating a constant toroidal field. And the coil he created, he was an artist among many other things. So making rings all the time, like 5 o'clock in the morning, he said, what else can I do with a piece of wire? And so this is how he came up with the aqua coil. And on this one, you can see it better. It has a bead, and like how you want to hold it, if you want to get rid of some negative stuff, you put that, like if I would have a shoulder pain, I would wear it, put it on the position where it is. Then I go away and I can do circular movement, or I can just move away. And the further away you are, the more the pull is, and the better and permanent the healing can be. And so this is how the aqua coil came about. And when he was sitting together with his friends, and so they put 2 rings together, Yeah, not so good. Then they put three rings together and they said, yeah, that looks much better, but still something missing. And then he had the glorious idea to put the coil inside. And that's how the harmonizer came about.
Mm. And Katharina, what is the energy function based on? Is it based on sacred geometry, or what is it based on?
Exactly. It is based on sacred geometry. So the measurements he used in the beginning, when I met Slim, he had three harmonizers, he had three rings, and he had an aqua coil and a feedback loop. So 8 tools. And so they are based on quantum physics and sacred geometry. So the measurement that he used in the beginning, the sacred cubit, is 20.6 inches. And then if you go on the pyramid of Giza, and at the entrance of there's above, it's like a little a square, and this has 5.15 inches on each side. So you come up with the 20.6 inches. And
Wow.
that's what he has been using.
Wow. So
Mm.
when he began creating these, did he even have any idea where this was going to expand to, or?
No, no.
No.
I think he really had. I think he really had no idea. He was just so grateful that on actually we have 30 years anniversary on March 18, that he and 10 of his friends, they used this little harmonizer. Looked very different than this one now, a little more crude. And so they went on strategic positions from Colorado Springs, through Denver and Boulder up to Fort Collins, and played it for 1 hour. And they had a tape. I mean, in the early 90s, we didn't have CDs. So it was a tape, and the tape was going for 10 minutes. So they had this little uh, movements, and they had to make sure they are rewinding all the time. And that was like, took care of the brown cloud that Denver was known for in the early 90s. And when he heard at the 5 o'clock news, the broadcaster say, guys, today it's so clear you can see until Utah. He said he stopped on the side and he was crying tears of joy. He was so grateful that he found something.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I got a quick question. Also, it appears to me that it may be a mind matter interface device, but how big a part of it is the mind? Do people really have to believe that this work in order to get it to work, or will it work as a standalone unit with people around it, or just placing the device there? Don't really believe it works at all. Would it work anyway?
That's a really good question, and I appreciate it, because what Slim was always like, you don't need anything, it works, and they actually work. However, first of all, they don't do the work for you. And I always say at my workshops, get a harmonizer and think you can be the bitch you always were, forget about it. The harmonizer can actually help us to see why we are so bitching, if that's what we are. And so they can assist us, they can show us what we could do to make changes, but they don't do the changes for us. But what we noticed is that when, so if you have a harmonizer and you put it in your house, it can help you, like this one, especially the silver one, for reducing the EMF. And it comes with a CD, and you have to activate it 24/7 to neutralize the heart magnet, and to help with EMF and sympathetic stress in your studio, for example. When
Yeah.
you use the intention, when you use your focused mind, then miracles can happen. Miracles can happen. And you have this nice story of Caleb, so I mean, we had unbelievable stories what happened when people were like they took their harmonizer and put their intention in there. Like our friend Tana in Montana, she has this big one.
Wow.
This is our washtub, and she has it on her altar, and she has, puts her affirmations in there, her prayers. And Tana is an exceptional woman. She is definitely, has amazing consciousness, and is a she's called the Buffalo Woman. And so anyway, she was telling us that the groundwater level were rising, that she had springs when everyone else in Montana had a drought. That was many years ago. And so amazing things can happen. The higher the consciousness, the better they can work with people. And this is why I'm so grateful actually to be in your group, because I know there are people who are interested in what else we can do with our mind and what we can do. And that is exceptional.
Absolutely.
I think so. Yeah. Go ahead, Nori.
You mentioned Caleb, Augie. Do you want to tell experience with Caleb?
Since we see him in the chat room, I can use his story. In fact, I asked him and he said it's okay. A good friend of mine in Colorado also, Caleb, he has gotten some of your devices. And he told me one story that was totally outrageous, but it happened to him, and that was that he's a plumber and he works on electrics and stuff. So he was outside a house working on something electric, and when you're working on electric stuff, you shouldn't be in the rain, right? That's not a good thing. So he saw rain showers coming in, and he has been using that harmonizer on his head below his hat, and he was hoping he would get done with the electric work before the rain showers came, but it didn't look that way. So he looked at the clouds and he basically told the clouds, "You're not gonna rain here." I'm not so sure if that was the words he used, but they kept coming. But they went around him. In the middle, there was a circle in the clouds where he was and where it wasn't raining.
Isn't that amazing?
Now that's a ridiculous story, but I tell you, I believe things like that because for two reasons I believe that one, because of the credibility of the man, and I've seen things like this happen.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing what people experience when they are just open enough. And it's and if you go to my website and if you go to Slim Spurling and then research and scroll down a little, then you see a crystal configuration. And Caleb actually had this ring under his hat, not the harmonizer. He was telling me that he always has the ring under it. And so this configuration, what if you want to show it on the website, or if you want to have me give permission to show it, did you find it? If I
you mean your
share
screen?
Share screen. Yeah, Mac, can you give Katharina share screen?
Yeah, I can do that because I have her website right up here. Yeah, I will do that.
Yes, give it a second. I find it.
Yeah, first of all, because it is based on sacred geometry. That is universal, and I do not think that people even have to believe that it works, because if it's sacred geometry, it is in nature. Hey, there we go.
Can you see the purple and the crystals?
Yes.
And so when you print that from our website and you take a harmonizer and put it in the center and with the intention to stop the rain, then this has been helping many people, to stop the rain. Like one of my one of my employees, she said she was into race cars and she was saving all her money to go, I think, Kentucky or somewhere where this big race was. And then the weather report said it's going to rain. And so I gave her one of those and a CD and a picture and said, just use that, have it in the trunk of your car. And she said it started dribbling a little. She went to the trunk of her car, put that on the picture with her intention, and she said, you won't believe it. There was over the race car, there was this blue sky, there was this, and a part, where the audience was, uh, it was raining, but the race car, and they had a little bit of trouble, but everyone could see it, and the drivers were safe, and it's just, and I have more of those stories. It's so much fun. It's
Yeah.
so much fun.
I
Wow.
was gonna show a different picture on your website. Hang on, I'm gonna share screen also here. So we're gonna share.
Beautiful.
Uh,
Beautiful.
yeah. Okay. I'm sharing sound and video. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Can you see this
Yeah.
website? Okay. Here is this is the picture of some of them, and
Uh-huh.
yeah. So you, but here we go. There are more. And
Mm-hmm.
here's another picture of some of them together. But then we have these. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about each one of them and tell us
Okay.
what
Please.
their specific intentions of use would be.
So the Aqua coil is basically like the rings, they have an infinite field. So whatever is in, and the rings work inside. Okay. So depending, like I have on my arm a smaller ring because when I'm working a lot on the computer, it helps to the red blood cells to flow and not stick together. And that, oxygen always goes to my brain, which is not a bad idea. And of
Mm.
course to my heart, and that's why I have it on the left side. Now the coils have a one end is pulling in, and to the clairvoyant eye, it's visible that on the other side, a light comes out. So what that means is every time I want to pull something out, I have the bead away. You can see the bead here. If I want to pull something out, I go start on the area. If it's a physical stuff, I start where it hurts and then I go away. And when I feel it's not hurting anymore, I turn it over and I give back. I fill the void that we created by giving light and filling the void with light so no other stuff can go back in there. It's also very helpful when you are in an environment where people have maybe not all good intentions towards you, then you can point the coil to the area where negativity is coming from and it takes care of it and you are not bombarded by that. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's how the coil is working. And the harmonizer is basically having the coil inside, and so it's creating this toroidal field. So, and everything that comes in the field of the harmonizer has a positive effect. So the harmonizer is constantly in motion, and the harmonizer is constantly uh, showing you, creating this light field. You have to imagine it's like this. You have a fountain of light. It pulls in the dirt and it brings out the light. And so you have a light wherever you are with your harmonizer. And the more harmonizer we have together, the denser the light field will be. And what
Wow.
does that mean to us? It's when we are in a polluted area and all of a sudden the pollution is gone, we can think for ourselves, you know. And so this
Yes.
is why, and I think this is how the harmonizer can help raise its consciousness by just really, creating more light. And the more light we have, the more our consciousness can actually expand. because when we are in a polluted area, it's really hard. And I think you all agree. I mean, of course, you have many mental methods to stay in a good space, and not
Mhm.
everyone is knowledgeable about that. And this is why I want to get as many harmonizers out in the world, so that we have a constant flow of light, of harmony, and a safe environment for all.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. And what about the light life feedback loop? That
The light
curious.
feedback loop. This
Yes.
is the light feedback loop is like it brings it pulls in negative stuff and it gives back positive stuff right away. So it's a constant flow. It's basically converting what's coming in and bringing the opposite out. So if you pull in negative stuff, it brings light out. Slim always had this one in his pocket. In
Really?
his oh
The
yes.
vacuum? Yeah.
Even in Venezuela on the beach, Slim had his Western jacket on and his cowboy boots, and he was having this in his pocket. And there was a woman on the beach. She hurt herself. Slim was kneeling down. He was working on the with the coil on her, and the woman could walk again. And
Wow.
the practitioner said that you have this has been helping people to heal really fast within hours from from a sprained ankle by just putting this configuration together in a bucket of water and put the foot in there, and that
Wow.
has been helping people with sprained ankles.
Wow. That's
What about
amazing.
what about this one here down at the right corner of the screen? The other light life tools
This is an
that.
acupressure tool. This is an
Oh,
acupressure tool, and it was originally designed for a doctor who wanted to do facial using in the face the acupressure point for staying young and removing wrinkles. I have never used it for the purpose, but one side you can activate a acupressure point, and the other side you can discharge it if it needs too much, if it needs discharging. And we
hmm.
have people who work with horses. They also like to use that. So it's definitely a good one to have.
I'm getting down to the bottom here, and I see an EMF protection. That's
Yeah.
most likely a TV station there, but we have telephone and all kinds of nasty stuff. How does it protect us from that?
Like what I was sharing earlier, and this is our environmental harmonizer, Sacred Cupid, and it's silver plated, and that have been helping with reducing DMF in your home, and also the Hartmann grid, which uh, the Hartmann grid was named after Dr. Ernst Hartmann, a German doctor who was oncologist, and he was founding when he went to his patients' homes that they were laying on a crossing of, at that time it had a different name. It wasn't called Hartmann grid, but later it was called the Hartmann grid. So if he found a crossing and the people would wherever the crossing was under the bed, for example, they would develop cancer. And so what we found was with this harmonizer, when it is activated with the CD 24/7, it basically neutralizes the heart grid. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so this is amazing powerful. And also what I was saying earlier, like our plain chain lost cubic ring. This is the sacred, but the lost cubic, wait a moment, is this size, and that fits perfectly over smart meters. And
Mm.
Hans Becker, one of our research friends, a mathematician, a genius, he was explaining to me how the rings basically neutralize the Hartmann grid. And he says, because, the way the wire is twisted, one goes this way, the other one goes that way, it creates this 0-point energy field. And what that does is it's neutralizing the magnetic field. So we still have the electricity going, but we don't have the negative effects of the combination electromagnetic fields.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Imagine,
Go ahead, Augie.
yeah, imagine if you have a lot of plants in your living room. I'm looking at the picture down here in the lower right-hand corner. The harmonizer would aid those plants a whole bunch, wouldn't they?
You know what? I live in this house now almost 17 years. I never used fertilizer on my plants, and they are growing really lush, and they are doing just great.
Yeah.
I actually put this around my arm for my shoulder. And
Good
when you
idea.
were talking, Katharina, I could feel the circulation be increased. It was tingly.
Beautiful.
It's wonderful. These are amazing. I love these.
What you also can do is the coil you have, you put
Yes.
it like that so that the bead is going down, and tuck
Okay.
it under your arm in your armpit so that it's pulling out like this way, that it's pulling out the pain from your shoulder.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Now you
And
also said somewhere on your website actually that when it's brought into the tensor field, it's
Yeah.
charged with light. Is that light that also can be visible physically, like
You know,
photon?
sometimes people can actually see the tensor field, especially when the room is a little darker. And you have to imagine it is like we all had as kids those soap bubbles, and we had this loop and we dipped it in the soaps solution, and then we had those bubbles coming out. And this is what you have to imagine the tensor field. It is like this. Yeah, sometimes you can really feel like it is an invisible glove when you go with your hand through the ring. It's very powerful.
beautiful.
All right. Well, we're down at the
Beautiful.
bottom. We're down at the bottom of the hour here, and for those of you that joined us late, we are talking about future science because this will be accepted one day. It is just that it is here now for us to use, and we're talking with Katharina Spurling-Kaffl,
Mhm.
and this is quite an education. And Nori is way ahead of me. She's got some of these devices already, and I think she got to put them to real good work. So for those of you that has joined us late, stay with us because this is going to get good.
And
Amazing.
I give we say future science, but when Slim was in 2000 in South Africa, and at that time we only had them gold plated, and he had a meeting with Credo Mutlo, and he showed him the harmonizer, and he was laughing, and he said, "We have been using that for 3,000 years in our tribes to bring peace and harmony into the tribes when they had some
Yeah.
argument." And so this is
All
why
right.
the first book I self-published, Slim Sperling's Universe, the subtitle was Restoring the Health of the Ancient Science Rediscovered to Restore the Health of the Planet and Mankind, because that was Slim's deepest desire to do something for us that we can heal without any negative side effect, and
Yeah.
that we have a clear and clean environment.
You're doing a workshop here in just I think a few days or so. Could you talk a little bit about when and
Yeah.
where it is, as well as what will you be talking about?
Oh, what will I be talking about? About my
Mhm.
favorite subject, the light life tools. So the workshop takes place on March 9 and 10 here in Erie. We have a beautiful yurt, and so Saturday, because Slim left us two important legacies. One's the light life tools, and the other one he found a very inexpensive and efficient way of locating heart magnet and geopathic stress lines and to block them. And so the Saturday morning, I'm going to show people how to do that so they can practice at home and also, you can have visible signs outside. If you have a tree that is supposed to go straight and it's going crooked, that is because it avoids the geopathic stress zone. So that's what I'm showing people Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, we start with the applications of the light life tools. We start with the first, what I was just briefly explaining here, and people get first-hand experience. We have those heavy, large rings where they can give themselves an aura shower, and we have a huge recalibrator where you can sit in there, or we have a large ring where people can sit in and meditate, and everyone can try everything we have. So and we have a massage table. And so Sunday is also more about the tools, and then people can give themselves sessions, or they can be on the massage table, and we do sessions on the massage table, and you don't have to have any physical issues to enjoy a session with the tools. It's so energizing. It's just beautiful. And, that's really what I love at our workshops. We always have some healers there, and so they bring in what they can feel or see. And so having a session with the tools is worth the investment in the workshop. It's really a treat. It's wonderful, and we are out in the middle of nowhere. You could say so. We are offering healthy lunch, and it's an experience you don't really want to miss.
Wow, that will be fun.
You guys have to come. You really
It's in
don't.
it's March 9th, right?
Mhm.
Good. I would
Yeah.
love that. I would love it. Now, is the only way to purchase the items through the website, or is there another store, or do other people sell the items also, or how does that work?
Yeah, on the website, we have a distributor network where people can get them through the distributors. Some of them have a store, others are go to fairs where they have the tools. If people are in Colorado or coming through, if they make an appointment with us, they can also come and purchase the tools in our office.
Perfect.
We have a website for Germany for the European market, and we have a website, Light Life Technology, for the US and the rest of the world market. But for Europe, it's better to have a place there. It's easier than paying all the customs.
Sure, right. Absolutely. Wow. But do you have a pivotal story that just stays with you regarding the tools?
I have a couple actually, and I'm not arrogant and say only the tools are working. I know they're working together. However, I don't think prayers go just where the tools are. And so we have had amazing things happening. And one story I want to tell with the wash tub. I had a wash tub in Pennsylvania in an area where, hurricane and all that was pretty close. And so the woman who had the wash tub, I asked her to send it back because I wanted to upgrade it. And she was very concerned. And there was this Hurricane Sally, I think, was on its way. And so the forecast was enormous damage, and just in the millions, and really, really bad. And so she sent us the wash tub, we did the upgrade, and we sent it back the same day. And so we sent her the tracking number. And so she said the closer the wash tub came back to her, the less damage they were predicting. And
Wow.
by the time she had the wash tub back, the hurricane came, and she had only, I don't remember, but maybe heavy rain and wind, and I don't think any damage to speak of. Maybe power outage for an hour or two. I don't remember the details, but it was nothing compared with what they had. And so
Wow.
this is where, yeah, and we have many stories like that. We have
Mhm.
from Japan, where a typhoon was hitting Japan, and then you could see, and our distributor at the time, you could see how the typhoon diverts. And he said,
Wow.
here is where I sold most of the harmonizers.
Wow. Wow.
Or in Florida a couple of years ago, when there was one city was kind of wiped out with a hurricane, one of our customers who didn't live far away from that, she said, I had rain and wind, but I had no other damage. And this is like, oh my God, it's just so rewarding for me to see that, because hey, we can do so much good with our harmonizers and with
Oh,
our tools.
That brings me
absolutely.
to another thought, actually. What you said, it could work in a way of protection of people's safety, also, couldn't it?
Exactly, of course. I mean, if you imagine, when the damage that would have cost lives, because that's what usually happens with hurricanes, not only damaging houses, lives, and everything else, or tornadoes. This little one in Gold, we have many reports where people say, we activated the harmonizer, we had tornado warning, and then the weather shows the satellite picture where the tornado goes just around our city. And we have many reports like that, not just one. And that
Wow.
is just really fun.
Mhm. I love
Hmm.
this. I love this.
Uh,
And how
You
how
know,
did it be how did it begin for Slim? I mean, did he just I mean, was it divine intervention or
Yeah, I mean, Slim was so extraordinary. And after his passing, I had a session with a guy, and he said, "Who was this man? He was not from this world, you know." And he was he was actually a recording coming from another planet or universe where
Mhm.
the planet blew up, and so I he was concerned that we are going to destroy this planet. And so he said, what do you need to build it up again? So you need tools. And this is why he started becoming a blacksmith, because he wanted to be able to help rebuilding what we are going to destroy. And
Yeah.
he did beautiful, beautiful artwork. I mean, it was really, really powerful. And this is where I think he got into this alchemy. And of course, he got downloads. Sometimes he was laying on the couch, and I thought, oh my God, he's dead. And I had to listen. Is he still breathing? Because he was just gone, and he got downloads like crazy. So he had some very important incidents in his life, were very young, where his life was saved basically. So he and the story is in the book, and I don't want to go there, but it was like where he realized very young, he was, I think, in his early 20s, that his life has a purpose. And it was, he was supposed to fly to Kansas for a reserve training, and he got excused, and the plane crashed, and all his friends died. And the next month, when he was supposed to go again and was excused, the next plane crashed. And again, everyone on the plane was dead. And so that was definitely an early wake-up call that he had a mission here and that his life has a purpose and he better uses it for the good of all. And this is what the harmonizers and the tools are here to do. We want to bring harmony. We want to help staying in health and, helping all of us.
Where did the continuation of that question is, where did the information on the sacred geometry come from? Did he just pull that from the quantum, or did he study it, or
He was studying Wilhelm Reich's work. He was studying Tesla and about the harmonics from Louis Quevron. Quevron. And so this is how, when it was about finding the right measurement for the rings, for the first rings, he chose the sacred cubic measurement at 20.6 inches. And Hans Becker, the mathematician and the genius, when he was talking with Lim, he said at the time there were only 19 sacred cubic 19 cubic measurements, and Hans said there's one missing because 19 is no number, And so Hans was doing his mathematical calculations, and he came up with the lost cubit measurement. And this, you find all the details in the book. It is like over my head. I would have to memorize it, but that's in the book. And it's just, and I think it's also on our website how it came about the lost cubit.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a really quick question here that's going to maybe take a little bit of a longer answer, and that is, before we got on the air, you told us a story about autism.
Oy.
For those of you out there that have autism, the children, or know somebody with autism, listen really close. I want to hear that story again, Katharina.
It was, I say to Slim, I would love to help children because my heart is really all about children. And so, and the next day I get an email from a woman who had, she just got a few rings. She was a special aid in a class for uh, children with all kind of issue, autism and other mental disturbances. And she just told me how they liked it. And so I said, oh my God, if you send me a report on your children and promise to send me a report on a regular basis, I send you rings. And I sent you several of those, and there were 2 classes. And I sent several of the coils and one of the gold-plated harmonizer. And the classes were called the classes of health. They were in the basement. They did not have daylight because the kids were screaming. They hated each other. They were like victims. Nobody loves me. I'm, really, really bad. Then they started getting the rings. And then all of a sudden, what is that? And then the teacher said, put it on your head. And all of a sudden, they had clarity. Or with the coil, the teacher was telling them how it works, and I take this one so you can see it better. And she put a little drawing on a piece of paper with a lot of dots. And so she explained to this kid, with this, when you hold it like that, you can pull out your body. Those dots represent confusion. And if you take that, you can pull out the confusion from your body. And so this is what they did, and never could answer any mathematic on the board. All of a sudden they could do it, or they would say, oh, and she said, sometimes they would tell the teacher, they called it the crown. You need the crown,
Yes.
So all of a sudden they had friends, and within 30 days, both classes were transformed. Both classes were transformed. She said, I have nothing else to report. They work, they love what they are doing, and one kid for the first time could go to a public school.
Wow.
Wow.
It is amazing. But what's important, I cannot guarantee that it always happens. Because it's so important for people to understand when quantum physics comes in, it's all about what is our journey, what is it? And so all the tools are here to support our growth. However, they are not going to do the work for us. And we have free will. So they won't override your free will. If you are not ready for change, then the tools won't force you into feeling better. It is really your choice, and you have to see what you want to do, so
Yeah.
they don't interfere.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is,
Wow.
yeah. Slim was
So,
way ahead of his time.
so I have a personal question. How did you meet Slim? How did you
Okay.
meet?
It was all a complete setup. And so I was in Germany, and I was translating at workshops every now and then. And every time the universe wanted me to learn something, I was translating a subject. So I learned about spirit releasement therapy, I learned about crystals, and then Slim was invited by my brother to come to introduce his tools and his dowsing technique. And so my brother said, I need you to translate. And I'm like, okay. And my brother had a few rings and coils, and when I touched it, he said, "Be careful, don't do this, don't do that." And I'm like, whatever. So I just put it on. And I should have known something else was in the making, because I never prepared for any translation job. I told the participants, hey, you probably know more than I am, so help me out. But Slim sent us a workbook that he's handing out at his workshop. And then I started reading. And then I got so excited. And before I even met him, I said, oh my God, I got to help this man getting his tools out into the world. And that was the first thing I told him after the first evening we worked together. I said, you cannot have just a handful of people uh, distributing them. They have to go out in the world. And when I met him, it was not like love at first sight. It was just, oh, this familiarity. I see you and I'm like, yeah, it's nice to see you again. Nice to be with you again. And so,
Mm.
well, and this is how it all started. And I had just a commitment to get the tools out into the world, because I said, this is where they go, and I wanted to help him. And when I visited him here, it was clear there was no one else who was interested in doing that. They were too afraid that he would be shut down like Tesla or Reich, and I wasn't. So this is how I came to help him creating more and free his time to do more research, and that's why I'm still here.
Beautiful. That's
Yeah.
so beautiful. And, if people can only start with one tool, what would you suggest they begin with?
It really depends what their focus is.
Mhm.
Like if you work a lot on the computer, I would definitely have one of those rings. Or what you have if you're a healer, getting the practitioner set, or for a healer, a personal harmonizer if they do hands-on healing, because
Yeah.
they can help their own energy field to be stronger and not to pick up the energy of the client. And it can also help the client to be more harmonious and letting go easier. So it's really depending what the purpose is, what they want to accomplish. But I have an amazing team here, so they can always call us, and we are happy to help them out.
Ah, amazing. I'm
Yeah,
just go ahead, Augie. Mhm.
yeah, I'm just wondering, what you are doing now is so futuristic, but what do you think have to happen, or when would you expect this to be much more commonly accepted within the medical system? Or could it
Well,
even be?
with the medical system, I think that's another story. We cannot claim to have any medical results, of course, but I think one way what you are doing here, and what I'm so grateful again for you guys for inviting me to the show to spread the word, and that more and more people are learning about it and know we have solutions. We don't
Yeah.
have to suffer. We don't have to take stuff that makes us sicker than we are already. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, people have been healing from so many different diseases by just using the rings because they didn't have anything else to lose. You know, I mean, they lost all their money to the medical institution and were sent to go home and get their affairs in order. And like, this is the largest ring that he had. And we had someone in South Africa with a brain tumor and a liver tumor, and they were using they together. And 6 weeks later, both tumors were gone, and before they were sent home to do their um,
Wow.
affairs. But I cannot guarantee that it always happens. As I said before,
Mhm.
what is the plan? What is your plan? And so they can support you. And I just
Yeah.
would love to see that we can combine other technologies with our technology to bring faster help for everyone here.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And we have about 5 minutes left, and Augie has his famous question that he likes to ask guests before we close. Do you feel like asking that tonight, Augie?
Yes, I will I'm going to do that in about 2 minutes, but I would like for you to, Katharina, just tell us where can they talk about where they can get a hold of you and where they can get the products. And I know you've done some other shows, so talk about what you do and also mention that workshop again because there may be some new ones
Yeah.
that joined us. So,
Can I put it in the chat, the workshop?
yes, please do.
Sure. I put your website in there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. March and 10, 2024 in Erie, Colorado. And tomorrow, actually, I'm doing a webinar at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Oops.
Erie.
The webinar is for people to learn about the workshop, info on the workshop, and of course they can also ask other questions. You know, because some people they like if you are you cannot do stairs. We have a ramp that goes to the yurt. So if they are have special needs or they are on the fence, but they have more questions, so they can always ask us. And yeah, if you are in the US, then go to Light Life Technology, call us, or if you are in Europe, go to Light Life Tools Europe. And shall I put that in there also? I don't know.
How do you access the webinar?
The webinar, you have to go to the website and sign up.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
free, but we want to know who is coming and
Of course.
have an idea. And so they can sign up on the website. And then I don't have the link here right now. Let me
Yeah.
just see if I can pull that up. Oops,
Okay.
no, I don't have it here right now. Oops. Yeah, no. So anyway, but they can go on the on our website is the link for the webinar. It's a big banner. So yeah.
Beautiful.
And I've been surfing your website, and I highly recommend to the people watching this and listening to this, go to the website and just poke
Yeah.
around in there. Just go there. There's so many sections to it, page 1, 2, 3, 5 or more, and there's products on there, and she explains what the product can be used for, and
Yeah.
there's so much to look at. Just spend
And
some time there.
we have a YouTube channel, we have an Instagram channel, we are on Facebook, and we just started a Telegram channel also. So
Okay. All
and
right.
yeah.
Well,
I've got my eye on the jewelry, Katharina.
It's powerful. The one I'm wearing, the
Yeah.
Tibetan pendant, that is supposed to help with rejuvenation and with longevity, and it's one of my favorite ones.
Beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well, I do have that one
And if you
question
come
for
to
you.
the workshop, there are 25% discount. So for
Ooh,
people,
Oh,
if they want
okay.
to purchase, yes,
Thank
it's
you.
I thought I knew Colorado fairly well, but where is Erie, Colorado?
Erie, Colorado. Actually, I'm outside of city limit, so I don't even show up. But we are actually on Frederick West, but Frederick doesn't have a mail carrier, so this is why our address is Erie. But we are east of Boulder and north east. No, yeah, east of Boulder and northwest of Denver. So if you go on I-25 from Denver to Fort Collins, we are halfway there. And we
Okay,
are
okay.
basically I-25, the crossing of I-25 and Highway 52. This is where we are.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I spent a year in Colorado, so I know it fairly well.
Okay,
Any,
great.
okay, well then, my last question for you is, if you could talk to the whole world and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
Focus on what you want and create the life you are meant to live and go out of fear. There's no reason for it. Stay in your heart, stay with love, and focus on where you want to go in your life. And that's what I wish for everyone.
Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you, Katharina. It was such a pleasure to have you here and share
Yeah,
space with you. Thank you so much.
Thank
this
you
was
both.
so
Thank
good.
you both.